Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavey, creator of the gay erotic website himrose.tv, and today I am joined by sex coach Finn Deerhart and my best friend Matthew Thomas as we talk about boys, boners, and bondage. Himrose Live is sponsored by himrose.tv, created by Davey Wavey. Himrose.tv has everything that you love about porn: the models, the cum shots, the fucking, and combines it with authenticity, pleasure, and sexual exploration through explicit erotic videos co-created by a team of gay sex experts, all designed to give you the best gay sex of your life. It's time to join the gay porn revolution at 20% off at himrose.tv/sale. That's HIMEROS.tv/sale. Himrose.tv is like porn, but better. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey there.
How are you? /sale.
Yeah, that's it. It's easy enough.
Yeah.
Right to the point. How is everyone?
I'm doing really good. I just got here right in time.
Yeah. Everyone was rushing about to make this happen today.
We're scampering.
So you at home, you better fucking enjoy this.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm good. I just got back from I'm not used to people asking me. Yeah. No, I'm good. I just got back from Key West. I'm in Palm Springs. Next week I'm heading to Hong Kong, so kind of gearing up for that.
Nice.
I know that the topic of conversation, I know the question on everyone's minds is that you want to know how the threesome went last week with Chad and the captain.
Yes.
Matt, you already know.
I don't know.
I didn't know that was a topic of conversation, but yeah, I mean, from last week. But yes, because I didn't watch the
real loyal listener. Yeah,
I know.
Thanks for your support.
Yeah, anything I can do, you know.
So yeah, I know everyone wants me to spill the beans, but you know, loose lips sink ships. So no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I do want to get into it. I want to kind of take a step back and paint a better picture though, because I think to fully explore what happened, to fully appreciate it, I think you need a little context. And I met the ship captain on Grindr. So it wasn't like we were springing this on him. Like everyone was on the same page about this being like a threesome opportunity. But it was on Grindr that the captain explained to me that he only tops. And if a guy only tops, for me, it can be a little bit of a red flag. Not necessarily, you know, like there's some real legitimate and you know, there's some very valid reasons for why guys prefer one or the other, but it can be a red flag. So for me, it's kind of like, all right, well, what's your hang up, right? Like, obviously our prostates feel good. And like, is it something emotional? Like, is it because he had some sort of trauma? In my experience, most of the only tops that I know, not all of them, but most of them are only tops because they have this, like, they're like almost like fixated on projecting like a certain like masculinity. And they want to be as like straight seeming as possible. So when I hear someone say, "Oh, I only top," I kind of hear this like internal monologue that I like project onto them that like that I think that they're having with themselves, which is like, you know,
the closet bottom.
Yeah, a closet bottom. Like, you know, like it happens in this voice. It's like, you know, the world tells me that being gay is wrong, and my parents told me that being gay is wrong, and society tells me it's wrong, and my frat house tells me it's wrong. So, you know, I hate that I'm gay, but if I have to be gay, at least let me be like the least gay person I can be. And in my like really heteronormative mind, then, you know, topping is less gay and more masculine. So, you know, at least I'm not getting fucked like a girl, because then I'd be a real faggot. Like that's the that's the internal monologue that I hear.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm kind of just like, listen, girl, like queer people didn't die so that you can be straight acting, you know? Matt, do you remember, I think you sent me something during Pride Month. Do you remember the meme? Did you send it to me or did I send it to you?
I know, I forget what it said, but I know what you're talking about. I sent it to you.
Yeah, and I remember what it said. It said, I Googled it this morning. It said, so it was this meme, and it said, "Happy Pride Month, gays, and remember that Black trans women and femme queens got us the rights we have today. And mask for mask gays haven't done shit for nobody."
That's awesome.
So anyway, before we get on the boat, I think Chad had like said to me something like, "Oh, I think he's gonna react to us calling each other girl," because Chad and I just call everyone. I call my dad girl. You know, like I just call the mailman girl. I call my straight personal trainer girl. And we say it all the time to each other because it's like the most expressive word that there is. Like you can be like, you want to get someone's attention, girl. Like it's what are you doing with your life? It's like, girl. You know, where are you? Girl. I want to have pizza for dinner. There's a girl for that. It says exactly what you needed to say.
It's like an emoji.
It is. It can be anything. It can be anything. And there's nothing wrong with calling someone a girl because there's nothing wrong with being a girl. I aspire to be the goddess incarnate that the women in my life are. This is a really long, involved story. But all right, you'll see. It all comes together. So
the fairest of them all.
Yeah, and we're not even on the boat yet. So we haven't even left the dock. And so Chad and I say girl to each other. And I don't know. I'm like, girl, do you have sunscreen? And he says, oh, I guess you guys call each other girl. I don't typically roll with that, but I guess I'll do it today. Pausing for emphasis here.
And you got off the boat.
I'm like, bitch, yeah, you certainly will roll with it today because I paid your ass $500 to charter us for the afternoon. Man. If you want to roll with my money, then yeah, you are going to roll with it. So Chad and I also had our nails painted. We had painted our thumbs. And again, this was like another thing I knew was going to trigger him. And like, he couldn't even resist. Like he had to point it out immediately. Like I think his fragile masculinity was like shooketh. You know what I mean? So, and I think like for me to some extent, but especially for Chad, like he's 21, he's a different generation. I think for him, like masculinity and femininity are just kind of like these costumes that he can put on. Like he recognizes it for like the mask, the mask, the mask that it is. Like you can put it on, you can take it off. He can flow very freely between masculine and feminine energy. And I think it's really fucking beautiful and attractive. It's hot, it's confident, it's not afraid. Like, I think we need more of that. So we get on the boat and he points out to us that he has this cooler and there's all these bumper stickers on it. And he says, you know, I used to have a Trump bumper sticker on this cooler. And he's like, I took it off because a lot of gays charter this boat. And I'm thinking, like, do you realize that pointing out that you had a Trump bumper sticker is essentially the same as still having that Trump bumper sticker there? Like, what's the point of removing it if you're going to tell me? But like, so I kind of had this moment of like, do I not have sex with him because he's a Trump supporter? And it's like, I get that. And I think that's very tempting, but it's like, I think it is a deal. Would that be a deal breaker for either of you guys?
Yeah.
If he is a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
More than likely, yes. But I mean, I would have a curiosity to want to understand why first. Like, what is it about Trump or what Trump believes that you really supported? I would want to get a better understanding before I just write him off.
Yeah, I would want to know. I would go to an intellectual space. I wouldn't be attracted, I think.
Yeah.
I might be like wanting to hash it out.
So would this also be true, not for necessarily for dating, but like just to hook up with someone, you also, it would be like an issue for you?
I guess it's hard to say.
For me, yes.
So. Yeah.
Because I typically in my past, I wouldn't just meet someone and be like, okay, come over. I would actually try and connect with someone a little bit first. So if I found that out in trying to connect and know them a little bit, then yeah, that would either derail things or at the very least just slow it down from happening. Yeah. I need to know. Okay.
For me, it's not. Maybe
I know.
It's part of my outreach program.
Like,
how are we going to change someone's minds if we don't? Like,
I don't think it's a matter of
them through sex.
I don't think it's a matter of changing someone's mind as much as it's about, well, do I really want to stick my dick inside you now that I know you a little bit better? Do I want my dick in your mouth now that I know like who a little bit more about you as a person?
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I do want to top that. Like for me, topping a Trump supporter is easier because like figuratively I want to fuck them because figuratively like their vote is fucking me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to connect the circle of life.
It also proves a point if you do that, you know. I think, but I have to say, I think my thinking would be that there'd be other characteristics by that time that I've already cued into that would probably be like less attractive.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to the Trump supporting part, I think I would be like, I don't really like this person.
Right.
like the guy that you describe, what you were describing at the beginning, that type of guy in and of itself is not attractive to me.
Yeah.
So same. He wouldn't have even have gotten any of my time if that's how he was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in real life, outside of this fantasy threesome on a boat in Key West world, he also wouldn't have gotten any of my time. But I think like because of the circumstances and like this event that was happening, this experience. But as soon as I knew he was a Trump supporter, I was like, of course he is, because all these other elements that have like come into play would completely support that. Like it all makes sense. Like in order to support Trump and like all that he's done against LGBT people and especially T people, like you really have to distance yourself from your queerness. And it sounds like that's important to him. So anyway, so we boat around for like an hour or two and we go swimming and then we parked in this like lagoon that was really secluded. And I started making out with Chad and Chad was wearing like a pair of like whitey tighties. And I was like, oh, like, I was kind of like licking his dick through this has become very, very graphic. I was licking his dick through the underwear. And I was like, oh, do you want to have a lick? You know, I invited the captain to join in. And here's what's weird is that like, it was super normal. Like it wasn't weird at all. That was what was so weird about it. Like,
you mean what wasn't weird?
Like the threesome, like seeing my boyfriend like suck another guy's dick, seeing another guy pleasure my boyfriend. Like I had never really been in that situation before. And I didn't know how I was going to, I mean, you can kind of anticipate how you're going to react, but you don't really know until you're in that moment. I even let the captain fuck me for a few minutes. And I was really careful to pay like equal amounts of attention to Chad and the captain. And like, just because someone is new, it doesn't mean that you get to like put all your attention on them and forget about your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to forget him. I loved making out with Chad and touching him. And so the night before we had also had a conversation about our limits and our boundaries. And we created a safe word, which was pineapple. So at any point during the trip, if we said pineapple, then like we could like, that meant like no sex. Ironically, he brought pineapple onto the boat. So for us to eat. But we talked about it, what was making us nervous. And I was like, look, like this guy is shit. He means nothing to me. Like you mean everything to me. And if anything, if you need to tap out at any point, like I'm 100% with you. No questions asked. So it was just really fucking normal and healthy. And that's why I want to talk about it, or I wanted to talk about it, because I don't think there are a lot of people, gay or otherwise, that like model healthy open relationships that people can see and you know emulate. So anyway, so this is the conclusion, the dramatic conclusion. We're having the threesome, we're doing like a chain. So it's like he's blowing Chad, Chad's blowing me. I don't know what is all this shit's going on. And this plane, this very low flying, like 100 feet up plane buzzes us like right over the boat. Completely like buzzes us, totally sees us, like definitely saw us having sex. And I thought it was funny, right? Fuck do I care, right? And the captain totally freaked out. He was like, oh my God, like they saw us, they know what we're doing. And he lost his boner. Like it was okay for us to see his gayness, but like not for a stranger, you know? And he like totally checked out. And for me at this point, like it wasn't about this whole experience like culminating in a cum shot or like it even being like that pleasurable. I just wanted to approach this as an experiment, and I felt really good about it.
How old was the captain?
Like 20, somewhere between 24, 26.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, Chad's 21, I'm 35. So 3 generations of gay men.
Yeah, it can feel like it can feel normal, huh? Like you like just like looking over and seeing and then like being involved. It's like you helped create that whole connection with him through, you know, all these parts of him that he may not show you unless you're in that situation with him. And it's really cool, I think.
It's a really intense experience to see your boyfriend having sex with someone else. And yet I was like so okay with it and like excited, and like I didn't feel jealous or betrayed. Like I felt joyful and like aroused, and I was really excited that like for me it kind of unfolded. Maybe the actual situation didn't unfold best case scenario, but my reaction to it, like my emotional experience was like better than I could have anticipated.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like, yeah, and you like set up some like good communication on the front end, so you guys had trust and felt really like safe, and then you could open up more, it seems like, and just like express who you are. And I think that's what's so hot about that is like it's like when we're watching something like that, if we're communicating and feeling secure enough, we can see the truth, and then it's like really, it's like hot to like be in truth and to be like okay with it and not resisting it, and it's like, wow, I'm not the only person in the world that could do this with him, or, you know, and that's, I think that's just like oh, thank God I can see this, instead of like assuming it and never seeing it or something.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was charging. And then I knew we were going to have like a great dinner conversation after. We had a lot to talk about. I don't know. Matt, you're quiet.
I'm just processing.
Are you triggered?
I mean, I'm not there in my relationship. I don't know if I would ever be there in my relationship where I think I could do that. I would like to be in the place because I think I like the idea of it, but I just don't know if I could ever be there.
You wouldn't have to either, you know? I mean,
well, no, it's not a matter of like having to, because I think some part of me would like that, to have like that openness and be okay with that. But I think putting myself in a situation, just thinking it through, I'm like, no, couldn't do it. But I'm like, I'm glad that it worked out. But then I'm also thinking about the guy and like the idea of him only being a top, because I know you didn't say all, but you said most of the time. But for me, it's like, I don't enjoy bottoming. I have a prostate, but the process of even just getting it in, it's just painful. And for me, like, pain is not pleasure. And I know there are a lot of guys that prefer to top for that reason. I mean, hell, I've even been to the doctor, been like, is there something wrong with me? Because I really just don't like it. And no, the doctor's like, no, you're perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, maybe it's just not for you.
Yeah, I think I mean, I know you well enough to know that you don't have internalized homophobia. That you celebrate when guys are feminine, and you really enjoy that. For you, it's just that it doesn't feel pleasurable. Like, you represent the gay men that, you know, it's not because of your, you know, internalized homophobia or your emotional state. It's just not something you enjoy.
Yeah, it's like preferences, but you're not trying to craft like a whole like, you know, engineered personality that like suggests the opposite, you know what I mean, and like creates negative energy around guys that are more feminine, or, you know, it's like.
But do you think, I mean, and I'm not making this about me per se, but do you really think that most guys that prefer to top have like some sort of like internalized oppression of how they feel about bottoming?
I wouldn't say that. No, I think that's too much of a generalization. I think it's more complex than that. I think there are preferences, and maybe a lot of guys really prefer to do it just because it feels good. They can like associate themselves with that role more easily. They feel good, but they're not like necessarily hung up on the opposite. So when I meet a guy who's really hung up on proving that he's not a bottom, like there's more energy devoted to like this, that's not me, and anybody who's that is less than me, then that to me suggests that, oh yeah, yeah, that's what you're dealing with. But that's totally different. That's not the same thing as being like, I prefer this role.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm not talking about someone that prefers to top over bottoming. I'm talking about someone that refuses to bottom, and not explore that aspect of themselves. Like, it's just this. And I've met a handful of guys like that, and I think in those instances, I dated a guy like that. Matt, you remember back when I was in college, I would like touch his butt, and he would freak out about like my fingers being near his hole. Like that's a red flag. That's a red
It
flag.
could even be trauma too. It's not like even if they're bad, but I just think back to the original thing. It's like I wouldn't necessarily be attracted to that person maybe because I would want a little more flexibility with how I expressed with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, you're a bad person for your choices of how you show up sexually, but that would mean I would be into it because I want to have a broader range.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so we also released a video this week we're supposed to talk about. It's called Boys, Boners, and Bondage, and it features Caden Gray and Bishop Black. So the backstory, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago, is that when we were doing the shoot, was in Amsterdam, one of the models left early because he had been sexually assaulted, and even though he thought he was over it, he really wasn't, and that came up for him, and checking out and leaving was the right thing for him to do for himself. So the concept for this video was about healing someone through sex, and Brad Amberhart is he wrote this concept. He's a tantric sex coach, and he told us all the story of this like orgy that he had when his friend was in a coma, and like he had this orgy with like 40 people, and like they had this common intention, and they like woke this person from the coma. Like the person came out of a coma, and we were all like, well, that sounds amazing, but also we believe in science. You know, like sexual energy is powerful, but I mean, it's still kind of like it just feels a little like unrelatable, right? It feels like a lot. But because we had been through this experience of one of the models leaving, you know, we realized that this could be an opportunity to at least hold that model in our heart. And we all had kind of had this experience with him. We're all touched by him. So to hold him in our hearts and really the other survivors of sexual violence and film this. And it felt very real. That felt very real for us to offer this up for him. And for people in his position. So the model that left, he was a rope tying expert, which was kind of the idea of incorporating some rope into this scene. So in the video, Caden and Bishop, they really have this lovely like banter and chemistry. And Caden is usually very dominant in the films, but he was tied up by Bishop, and he found it very hot to be tied up. I mean, it's kind of, Finn, what you touched on a little bit earlier with guys that refuse to bottom. But he really loved being tied up. And I know, Matt, you couldn't log in. You forgot your username and password, so you haven't seen it yet. But Finn, what did you think of the video?
I really liked the video. The part that I liked the best was the tension around like the scissors.
Yeah, explain to Matt what happened.
He's just he's taking some scissors, and like Caden's tied up, and he's got the scissors in his lap because he still has underwear on, and he's tracing them down his leg.
Bishop is tracing them down Caden's leg.
Yeah, and Caden can't do anything about it. And I was like, oh, I just started feeling tense as I was watching it and wanted to resolve the tension. Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And watching him cut it, yeah, it was my favorite part of it.
Well, when you say cut it.
Yeah,
what?
The underwear, right?
Obviously his penis. It got so bad and dark so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cut his underwear off, and it was a really cool idea. Was that Brad's idea too? Or was that?
No, I think it was just something that spontaneously like happened in the moment. Yeah, my favorite part of the video was there's this moment where like Caden's like tied up and he can't do anything. And then Bishop like climbs up on him upside down. And so his face is in like Caden's lap Caden has this humongous dick. and Bishop is like smothered in it. And then they kind of realize, I think, that they're stuck like upside down. And so they have this, or maybe it's going into the position. I don't know, but there's some aspect of that positioning was like awkward. And so they had to like talk through how they were going to get either into the position or out of it. And usually like that, like the navigation of that would be like cut out of a porn film. And you would just see this like seamless, like, you know, graceful, but that's not how reality is. And so I love that the director like chose to keep that in. Yeah. So I don't know. I really liked it. And this is our first video from Amsterdam. So there's going to be quite a few more. And I think Bishop and Caden they were really fun models to work with. And both really sexy and present and focused. And they both have such beautiful voices, which you can hear in the video. They have these nice English accents. And
I like their chemistry a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some like really nice kind of intense moments too, like when he has his feet in his mouth. It's really like, but he also has a really intense look on his face when he's doing it. Like it was like Bishop was in that role, it looked like to me, fully, and just really loving it. And then how they embrace, and yeah, it feels really like good chemistry between them.
There's going to be an upcoming video where Caden and Bishop fuck, and it's really spectacular. It's really hot.
Awesome.
So stay tuned for that. If you guys want to see a preview of this video, Matt, could you at least watch the preview?
I did watch the preview, and the preview looked really hot from what I could see.
Okay. Did you really watch it?
No, aren't they like it? It was it's one like black guy, one white guy, and one would have like and he has like a red blindfold on, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. See, try to put me on the spot. I saw.
This is like showing up to school without her homework.
Exactly.
I love how you're walking through your house right now too.
My computer's on 6%. I'm like, oh my god, where's my charger?
And you're walking with the microphone too?
Yeah.
And I got the microphone. Come on now.
It's like it's like unsolved mysteries.
Little tour.
Have you guys ever listened to the podcast?
Yeah.
No.
I haven't listened to it too.
I don't want to hear myself. I'm gonna like critique myself and worry if I said something the right way or the wrong way. I'm going to stress that I didn't actually make a good point. No.
It's a total top.
It's like what's done is done. No.
You know, we have a jingle.
Do we really?
Yeah, there's like intro music. I mean, I don't listen to it because I can't. It's
How come you don't listen to it,
girl? Because I don't need to hear myself. I hear myself fucking like, and I talk for the majority of this podcast, and my voice is insufferable.
Oh my god!
What is this, like? Look at this shame spiral going on here, man. I listen to it sometimes because after we do it, then my partner wants to listen to it, so I'm usually with him when that happens, and I enjoy listening to it.
And you hear yourself?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to it and been like, oh, why did I say that? Or why did I say
but
that?
I have listened to it and said, the way I explained that, I didn't really explain that very well or something like that. I wish I had said this, I wish I had said that, or I've laughed out loud. And, because when we're on it too, I'm in the experience a lot. So, listening to it as a spectator is different. So.
True.
All right. Are you settled, Matt?
I'm not, but listen, you wouldn't know if let's keep this thing going. We're good.
Are you plugged in at least?
I'm almost plugged in. Almost. Almost. We're there. Let's go.
It's amazing that this thing comes together every week, isn't it? It's an act of God.
Sorry, I'm such a mess. Go.
No, you're fine. So let's get to the questions portion. Now, if you guys at home have any questions, you can send them to Davey at daveywavey.tv. This week, we're only going to do one question because it's a doozy, and it's going to be a lot just to read. I would love someone else to fucking read it, but you guys probably don't have it handy, huh?
I have it.
Want me to get up again?
Finn, do you want to read it?
Sure, I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, especially since you love hearing your voice.
Since I love hearing my voice, right? Great, total top. I really enjoy listening to your podcasts and videos over the years and the work and education on sex positive conversations you and your guests have.
This is part of the question, by the way.
Yeah, this is yeah.
Oh, yeah. So people at home know that. Okay, yeah. So it's question. Yeah. Okay. Go.
Question number 1, sentence 3. I especially love the sidebar conversations that happen on your podcast that get off topic and become real. I just finished listening to your conversation about coming out and safe sex, how your boyfriend Chad described his perception of HIV/AIDS and being protected, and how the fear of younger generations is not necessarily prevalent. It was so open, honest, and beautiful to hear him talk about that. So I'm writing you is this. I'm not sure if it's a question, a conversation, topic, or just my story. Should pause.
For what emphasis?
Yeah. I am a 49-year-old man, average build, average looks. I am not an Adonis by any means, but I'm very spiritual, a shamanic practitioner, and funny and grounded. My partner of 25 years passed away a year and a half ago, which was such a heartbreak. We shared and loved each other so much and dedicated 25 years of our life to one another. The year we got together was 1992. Technology, the internet, and gay apps did not exist or wasn't even a thought back then. People met in bars, clubs, bookstores, or through other people. There was a sense of community and mystery when meeting men. We met at a coffee shop and were together for 25 years since. So now that I'm ready to begin this process to bring some love into my life, I am at a complete loss. Friends suggested dating apps like Tinder, Grindr, Scruff, which I have accounts on all of these, and the experience is horrifying to say the least. I'm at a loss on how to go about finding a man to even agree to go to dinner with, or a drink, or even a hike. I live in a very rural area of the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York, where there are no gay bars, gay clubs, gay meeting areas that are remotely close, and apps seem to be what everyone, regardless of age, has resorted to. I guess I'm a daddy, a label, or a fetish for some. It's incredibly demoralizing for me to have to fit into a stereotype or a label to be even considered by anyone. The mindset of gay men, it seems to consist of 3 questions. 1, top or bottom. 2, dick pic. 3, host or travel.
And he nailed that, by the way.
He did.
I mean, that is it. Those are the 3 questions on Grindr.
Yeah.
Top or bottom, dick pic, host or travel.
I've even gotten just question number 3 before. I'm in like host or travel, and you don't even know me or know what I look like or anything. So he goes on, he says, now I get it. That is how men are being trained and educated on how to find relationships or sex. And I'm amazed at how easy it is. But if you're a single gay white man in this age bracket, you're ruled out by even men in that same age bracket, which is very concerning to me. If a man doesn't look like a porn star or has the body of a person who obsessively works out, you're immediately classified as being in the senior citizen's home. I'm not. I'm active, I'm social, and have so much more to offer, but it seems like gay men and dating for someone who is 49 means that you have to crawl into a hole and live yours alone. I unfortunately did not choose to be alone and single at 49, but starting over for a gay man at my age and having to learn these ways is hell. Being blocked for saying hi to someone is so difficult. You often speak about educating young men about being sex positive and how to educate a man on how to treat others. But I find that Grindr is a place that isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but it is all men have and understand these days, and they're not seeing the big picture and how to interact with other human beings or other gay men. The gay community used to be a community. Now it feels like it is all about body shaming, age shaming, color and race shaming. It truly is a shame, but how can this change? I don't know. I commend you on trying and incorporating men of all ages into your views and talks. The conversation has to start somewhere, and I'm glad you have a platform to do so.
Well, thank you for reading that.
Yeah.
You've had all these like really emotional, heartfelt questions, which I really appreciate. It's funny when we were filming in Provincetown, and some of the content we did was based around HIV and AIDS. Some of the guys that we chatted with who lived through it said that as horrible as the disease was, it really brought everyone together. And what they don't miss, obviously, is burying their friends and having to deal with this horrible disease. But what they do miss is the sense of community and togetherness that the LGBT community had in the 80s and 90s, because we had to. It was common. We came together around this common enemy of wanting to defeat and having to support one another. And you feel that in this, that like he basically, you know, time warp, he experienced it in the early 90s and now he's experiencing where we're at now. And despite all this technology, which I've said a million times, like we're more connected and yet more alone than ever. And you feel for that. So I don't know, how do we change that? Like, will it change? Is there any hope?
I think it is. Yes, I do have hope. I mean, I don't want to deny that this is his total true experience, and this is the experience of a lot of men. But I think that that's not the experience of everybody either. You know, there's a certain amount of disconnection that's just accepted in the community and in what, I don't know, I guess people refer to as like to the mainstream or whatever. But it's like, where do you go to find your values reflected? If you want certain aspects of yourself to be reflected in who you're around and enjoyed about you and sought out, then it's like you got to put yourself in environments where those values are going to be what people are connecting about. And I'm not really sure exactly what that would look like for him, you know, where he is. But I just tell guys, you know, if we're not being our most authentic selves, we're going to be like cut off and not connected to other people. And it's kind of challenging for me in some of those ways to make connections as well. But some people are really making amazing connections. You know, I've talked to guys that have met their husbands on Grindr too. So I know it's, you know, it's a hot topic and there's a lot of opinion on both sides. But I just think that what this man in this question is describing is symptomatic of a deeper thing within the community of, you know, just not feeling connected and okay. It's kind of internalized shame. But we can't just blame the apps or blame, you know, bars necessarily. He may not find connection in those places and he might find it somewhere else, you know, and that's what I say.
I agree with Finn. I see his point, and in some ways I relate to him and his experience, but there are some things that he say that I don't necessarily agree with. You know, I know that if I go on Grindr, more often than not, you're on there because people are looking for sex. You can say that Grindr is about networking and connection and making friends and blah, 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 but most of the time people are on there for sex. If you're looking to talk to somebody that isn't necessarily looking for sex, well, you need to look at their profile. What are their interests? Is right now something that they happen to be looking for, or is right now the only thing that they're putting on there? Well, if it is, then you're trying to connect with the wrong person. So, you know, and like I said, not to take away from his experience, but, you know, you have to also be somewhat realistic about what you are expecting when you go on these apps. In the past, when I've used Tinder, I like Tinder because for me, I don't approach it thinking about sex or about exchanging nudes. I'm really looking for friends or people to connect with to potentially date. And I've had a lot of luck when I was using Tinder, but I think that the issue goes beyond the apps and it goes beyond the gay community. I think the issue is just how we treat each other as people, period. How many times do we hop on elevators and someone new comes on and we don't smile or say hello? We act like they are just not there. Or we're walking down the street and from a distance we're looking at each other, but then when we get close, we both look away. Last weekend, I was out in New York City giving out meals to the to our street community, and there was one man that I gave food to that he started crying. And as I got into more conversation with him, he was crying because he said, "Thank you for not making me feel invisible." I can sit here and people can walk past me for weeks on end and maybe they throw me a couple pennies, but no one actually says, "Hi, how are you?" or has a conversation with me. And for me, it was kind of just like, wow, like I know that I'm doing this today and I'm glad that I'm doing it. But I learned something from that because there are so many people that are living on the street that I don't acknowledge myself. And think about that, like we see someone that is hurting. like legitimately in front of us. We have an idea of what their situation is, and we happen to ignore them. It doesn't surprise me that we act this way whenever we get on an app and it's like someone does say hi to me. Oh, I'm not like attracted to you. I'm just going to block you. It doesn't make it okay, but it's an example of just how we are as human beings. We don't think about each other. We don't think about the way of what we're going to say or what we're going to do is going to make someone else feel. We just think about ourselves. We're a very selfish group of people.
I've always been told that whatever it is that you want from the world is what you need to give to the world. So if you want people to be kinder to you, you need to be kinder to people.
Absolutely.
I do think, though, that actually most people on Grindr are not looking for sex. I think most people on Grindr are looking to jerk off. I think they're just like, I think it's a bunch of people that are just edging, like having these conversations that they find like erotically exciting, exchanging nudes. But like as someone that is focused on meeting up when I'm on Grindr, like I'll find guys that I like connect with, and then I'll invite them over and they're like, oh, well, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 days. Like they always kind of have some sort of like excuse for why they're not available. Having said that, I relate to this guy's story, and that this is something that I've heard people like reach out and write about like innumerable times. And as someone who doesn't go to bars and like my connection to meeting people is Grindr. So I feel like some of the frustration here, of course, you know, I'm quite a bit younger and my experience in the app has been different. But living in Palm Springs, what I've heard time and time again from older gay guys is that this is one of the places in the world where they feel like as older gay men, they're not invisible. And so I think there are places out there, you know, he mentions, where does he live in, like the
Catskills?
The Catskills. Yeah, that I don't know, maybe this is an opportunity to seek out, you know, a place in the US where maybe there is a community of guys where you won't feel invisible. And you know, I can't speak highly enough about Palm Springs, and like I get that it's also California, and it's not everyone can just pick up and move out here. But you know, that could be something to explore.
Yeah, but you know, and it's funny, you know, he talked a lot about his previous relationship of 25 years, and I think he said that they met in a coffee shop. I can't imagine having met the love of my life, spent 25 years with them, and you know, you met at a time where technology didn't exist the way that it does today, and here you are starting over and having to learn an entirely new way of connecting with people. That in and of itself is difficult. Like, you know, my parents are divorced. My mom is in her early 60s, and my parents have been divorced now for I think about 8 years, and my mom's ready to get back out there and date again. And I completely encourage her doing that. But you know, for my mom, she doesn't want to go to bars. She doesn't want to do like groups or like single meetup stuff, but her options to go out there and meet people are online. And she tells me the horrible things that happen whenever she just gets into conversations with people. It's hard. It's really, really hard. And I guess back to his point is technology is not going to slow down. And our ways of connecting with each other without our phones or being on our computers, that's not going to change. And and honestly, I think it sucks. I think it really sucks for him to be at this age and trying to do this all over again and start over. Like I really feel for him because it's hard. It's really, really hard.
You know what? The top or bottom, dick pic, host or travel, like the 3 questions he mentioned, like I'm guilty of all asking all 3 of those. And like the thing is, like, I met Chad like as a hookup on Grindr, and I'm sure we played the top or bottom dick pic host or travel game, and what we realized was that there was like a deeper connection beyond just like, yeah, it was fun to fuck, but like also, hey, there's something here. Do you want to grab dinner? So sometimes even in those moments that seem very sex focused or superficial, there's still deeper opportunities to connect with people when you feel like there's some sort of chemistry or some sort of spark there.
Mm-hmm.
So good things can come out of top or bottom dick pic host or travel.
Mm-hmm. I think it really what really makes the difference in all of our experiences is like what we're looking for in the world, what we're looking for in ourselves. And like you said, you had that experience, and then there could be really awful experiences on Grindr too. It's not about like the tool. It's just like, what is it that you're wanting, and getting clear on your needs and wants. I met my boyfriend like in a period where I wasn't having sex at all, and I didn't want to because I wanted to kind of look for something else. And that's when I met him. And then it was a really different kind of experience for me. And it was a totally unsex related way that we met. So, and I that seems to be the way that this person really relates, meeting in a coffee shop. I think that's really romantic, and yeah, just live your best life, and then you never know who's going to come around. Try to maybe just even let go of the way it's happening with other people. I know older men that like have book clubs and stuff and get together with other queer men here in San Francisco. I know we have a community around us, but it's like they're connecting over what they really like, which is books and
Mm-hmm.
getting together with each other. That's not what you're doing on Grindr, or going to the club. You're like, I want to start a book club, and everyone's all quiet crickets.
Yeah, well, it's tough, right? Because you want to be like, well, maybe like you're not having that community in the Catskills, but it does exist out there in the world. But it's kind of like not everyone can just get up and leave and relocate to San Francisco or Palm Springs or
But regardless, he should not give up. He needs to keep trying. He needs to put himself out there. Sometimes you got to fall. Sometimes some fall more than others until they find what they're looking for, or find that connection. But above all, like if that's what he wants and that's what's important to him, he needs to keep trying. It doesn't mean that it's going to get easier, but he really can't stop. He has to keep trying.
And
so. Go ahead, Finn. I was just going to do my awkward transition.
I was going to say, like, it's also really important. I mean, this very discussion has been looked at a lot in. There's a book called Modern Romance by Eric Kleinberg. He's a sociologist, and he wrote it with a comedian that I can't remember his name. Aziz, I'm sorry, something like that. Anyway, all about this very dynamic, and just the whole takeaway from that book is that we live in these little silos, we connect in these ways, and everybody, even if you have lots of sex and you're getting lots of dates, they're saying the same thing. So it might seem like everybody's having this really good time, but people are still reporting that they're dissatisfied, they're not having the connections that they want, the sex that they have is lacking. So even the people that are like quote unquote thriving on the apps, they're not always happy. And the takeaway was to just like build community. So it may be even we get our needs met in community from so many different places, and even outside. I encourage gay men all the time, if you feel safe enough, try to make friends with people that aren't just a gay silo of people, because it diversifies what you get from your community.
Straight people? Oh my God.
Or queer of some kind.
What are you going to talk about with straight people?
Sex, if you want.
No, they don't want to hear about that.
I think
yes, they do. Are you kidding me?
It just depends on how open they are, Like
they want to talk about
straight guys.
They want to talk about their casseroles.
No, I mean some.
I'm just joking.
Or like other queer people, trans people, getting like different perspectives in your needs met in lots of different ways can be really empowering, and it's also just going to shift and change like what you're looking for. And you might be surprised at like how somebody just comes into your life when you're setting your filter in a different place.
Yeah,
I'd rather be lonely than friends with straight people.
I think he should find activities around things that he enjoys doing and use that as a way to meet people and build connection and go from there. Maybe Tinder, Grindr, Jacked, Scruff, maybe all of that stuff just may not be for him, but yes. I think he should start with just doing the things that he enjoys and building connections with people through that. Go from there.
when we do these podcasts, when I'm sitting on the floor here, I can't help but pick. I have a shag carpet that's made out of wool, and I can't help but pick at it, especially if I'm like feeling tense about something. I just want everyone to see. I mean, if you're listening at home, you can't see the size of the nest that I've like picked off my floor.
Why
It's the
are you
size of a
tense?
small cat.
But why are you tense?
Could we ever get to a point where we do live questions, as in someone like calls in and we can actually have a conversation?
Yes, I would love that.
That would be so much fun.
It would be really
awesome. Girl,
This
that's why
is
they
like-
pay the big bucks. Pay someone to figure it out.
Yeah, maybe at some point. But then we have to have like a whole thing, and oh my god, it's just gonna be, it's a lot. Anyway, I just wanted to show you the cat that I picked off the board. Also,
it doubled in size over that.
I think in 3 weeks, the video that we're going to be discussing is called Glory Hold, which is like my favorite video ever. Finn, have I sent it to you yet?
No.
Oh,
This is the third promise.
I keep promising to send it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll send it.
That was like kind of a biographical sketch of my 20s, actually.
I'm sending it right now.
Okay.
Glory Hole. I'm gonna send it to both of you. It's my favorite video that we've ever filmed. It's so fucking hot. And
Where was this
it was filmed in Palm Springs.
Mhm.
We built the Glory Hole. We spare no expense on these projects. We literally drilled a hole through a fucking metal bathroom stall. My charge for myself is that between now and then, I need to experience a glory hole in real life because I never have. And I don't know if that means the glory hole that we build is still in existence, but it's like in a studio, so it's like not the easiest to get to. I may experience it there, or I might actually build a glory hole in my house just to get some of the. I feel like I could probably find a glory hole kit on Etsy. That's what I'm going to do when we hang up. I'm going to order that. So that's my goal between now and then, is to experience a glory hole.
You should build one and just document it on YouTube.
So that could be taken down too?
Yeah, I was gonna say it. Yeah. If my like regular shit gets taken down,
It's called like an art installation, and just don't name it.
and maybe you just see the shadows instead of the actual. I wonder if you could see a shadow of a dick on. I've actually wondered this question before because I've had that situation happen. Because I can't show a dick, but can I show a shadow of a dick?
No.
Could I show a shadow of a dick being sucked?
No.
Really? Is that bad?
Good, but it's probably going to get taken down. You know, they're out for you.
I do have a YouTube manager, and I sometimes ask her these questions, and she's just like, "The fuck? Like, who are you? Like, should you be arrested? Probably." So, anyway, next week's video is titled "Erotic Massage for Beginners." Stay tuned for that. Finn, where can people find you?
FinnDeerhart.com. FINNDEERHART.com.
And Matt, people can't find you anywhere. Just
Mm-mm.
here every now and then when she graces us with their presence.
Exactly. No.
All right.
This is
Thank
fun,
you guys.
guys.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. Thanks so much for listening. If you want to join and officially become part of the himroast.tv community, you can do it 20% off at himroast.tv/sale. That's SALE. And himroast.tv is HIMEROS.tv. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, more to come.